guys, my name is JJ Khoza. We're back on the first lecture about equations. This is a new playlist. We have finished our playlist on algebra fundamentals. Algebra fundamentals part 1 up to part 8. So we've done sufficient algebra to enable us to do this work. I want to discuss the equations. Equations are very important. They play a fundamental role in most of the things that we do. You often hear people talking about balancing the equation. Well, we'll see what is it that they mean. First of all, what is an equation? We have defined algebraic expressions. But what is an equation? An equation, it is a statement that two mathematical expressions are equal, meaning that the left-hand side and the right-hand side of the equation are equal. Why do we have equations? In order to model whatever system that you want to model. At the end of the day, you'll see that is what we are going to do with equations, with algebraic equations. We model systems. And we often want to know the hidden value, maybe the variable of interest we'll be solving for it. For instance, solving for x. We want to know something that is hidden from us. We have a way in mathematics to find hidden things. Yes, it's true. So, on our example here, 3 plus 5 is equal to 8. This tells you that the left-hand side is equal to the right-hand side. What if you meet a condition whereby left-hand side is not equal to the right-hand side? Is that an equation? No. It violates the properties of equality. Equations uses three things. Just like we have discussed in algebraic expressions. In algebraic expressions, we explained that expressions use a variable. In fact, we're talking about algebraic expression being a way to transform a natural language into a mathematical language using only 3 characters: a variable, a coefficient, and a constant. A variable is a sign that represents an unknown quantity. Coefficients and constants are numbers. And a number, it is also a sign that is assigned to a particular quantity, to a known quantity, Variable is a sign that is a sign or a letter that represents an unknown quantity. A coefficient, it is a number that multiplies the variable. It multiplies a variable. Whether it is a fraction or a whole, it multiplies a variable. You can never have a coefficient of 0, because 0 multiplied by a variable, it becomes 0. A constant is a freestanding number, is not attached or is not multiplying any variable. We have 2 properties of equality. From the beginning of our lectures, we have been talking about properties. We have been talking about rules, talking about laws. These are toolboxes. These are tools that we need. You need to have your toolbox so that when you need a spanner, you are able to use a spanner where applicable. You don't use a pliers or a screwdriver. You need to use the right tool to do what you want to do, to get an efficient result, a correct result. We have two properties of equality. The first one, we have A equal to B. Here we learn that we can add or subtract any variable or any value into an equation for as long as you satisfy the property of equality. It states that what you do on the left hand side, you also do it on the right hand side. Number two, we also have A equal to B. We also learn here that what you do on the left hand side, you also do on the right hand side. If you multiply on the left hand side, you must multiply with the same thing on the right hand side. If you divide on the left hand side, you'll also divide on the right hand side. In this lecture, we are talking about linear equations. These linear equations, they follow a set of rules. You will remember when we were doing algebraic expressions, we said the first rule is to group like terms together. That was the first rule. We group like terms together. We also do the same thing here. Because we have an equal sign, what you do on the left hand side, you also do on the right hand side. I've demonstrated here with these C's, this letter C. I was demonstrating that what you do on the left, you must also do on the right. If you add C or multiply C on the left hand side and you don't do the same action on the right hand side, it is no longer equal to the right hand side. And therefore, it violates the properties of equality. This is one beautiful thing about mathematics. We are always guided by the rules. We do not do things the way we want, but we do things according to the set rules. These set rules, they follow a particular logic. Once you grasp that logic, you'll never go wrong, even a single day. Never. That is what makes mathematics simple to do. You only need to grasp the rules. Once you know the rules, you covered. Okay. We have covered these three sets of rules. We have an example, which I've done here. I have 2x plus 3 equal to 6x plus 13. The first thing that I want to achieve is to group the like terms together. I've got 2x on the left hand side and 6x on the right hand side. For me to group them together, I have to use a process called transposition. Transposition. In a process of transposition, what do? Whatever you do not want, you must remove it in any way. either by subtraction or addition, or by division or multiplication. It depends on the condition of what of the character that you want to remove. It depends on its condition. I will explain that. Its condition, if it was added, you must do the opposite action of adding. You'll subtract. If it was subtracted, you'll do the opposite action. You would add the same thing. It would be eliminated. If it was multiplying something, you'd divide. If it was dividing something, you'd multiply. That is how you get rid of it. Your process of getting rid of it, you will apply it on both sides of your equation. Now, I have 6x is added to 13. It is positive. Because it's positive, if I want to remove it, I must subtract with itself. I'm subtracting 6x with itself. Here, I have done it. I've done it on the right-hand side. Rule number 2 says, what I do on the left, I must do on the right. So I've done it on the left-hand side too. I've done it again, you can see. And then 2x subtract 6x, I get negative 4x. I'm left with 3. This 3 has a positive sign. In order for me to get rid of it, I must use an opposite sign, which is subtraction. I will subtract 3 from 3. Also on the right hand side, I will subtract 3 from 13. Why? What I did on the left hand side, I must do on the right hand side. That is how it goes. And then we proceed. We end up with 4x, negative 4x equal to 10. I do not want this 4 on this side. What do I do? This 4 is a coefficient. It is dividing. It is multiplying the variable x. So what do I do? The opposite action is to divide. So I'll divide both sides. This is what I'm getting. This is the answer. The beautiful thing about, or the nice thing about equations, you can always check whether you are right or wrong. How do you check? You take the answer that you've got, you substitute it back into the original equation. So here I've taken it. I'm substituting it back to this original equation. I'm not going to do this. You do it. You will see if you get the left hand side equal to the right hand side. If it is so, left hand side equal to the right hand side, then it would mean that the value of x, which is negative 5 over 2, it is the solution. But if left hand side is not equal to the right hand side, then the answer was wrong. We need to relook at it again. Okay. We have a different case now. We have a fraction. This fraction is a coefficient. We must find a way of removing a coefficient that is multiplying a variable. On the previous problem, we did the opposite action. Are we going to do the same thing here? Yes. We'll do exactly the same thing. We have 3 over 2. We will divide it with 3 over 2. Luckily, on our previous lectures, we learned properties of fractions, where we had to divide fractions. So here we have 3 over 2 here divided by 3 over 2. We bring back 3 over 2. We change the division sign into a multiplication sign, and then we invert 3 over 2. It becomes 2 over 3. This is what we want, this 2 over 3. This is what we want. We are going to multiply both sides with it on the equation. So here, I take this 2 over 3, I multiply here, and then I multiply on the other side of the equation, because it's rule number 2, which is on the previous slide. When you multiply here, you get 6 over 6. 6 over 6 is 1. We all know. And here you multiply, you get 8 over 3. You may take this 8 over 3 and substitute it here and see if you get left hand side equal to the right hand side. If you do not get that, it means the answer was wrong. You have to redo the problem again until you perfect it. Okay? That is the rule. In this case, you can see the variable is a numerator in this fraction. It is multiplying with a numerator. What if it goes under? For instance, you have 3 over x equal to 4. What do? A 3 over x equal to 4. Are we going to apply the same thing and divide with 3 over x? Does it make sense? Yes, it does. Why? The laws of mathematics never change. That's the other good thing about mathematics. The laws never change. Once you grasp them, you understand them, you are good to go for life. So, let us take 3 over x and divide it by itself. Here, we've done it here. This is it. And then we bring 3 over x here. The division sign becomes a multiplication sign. And this fraction, we invert it, we turn it upside down, we just flip it over. We end up with x over 3. Okay? This is what we are looking for, this x over 3. I'm taking this x over 3. I'm going to multiply it on the equation. Here is my equation. I'm multiplying it on the left hand side here, and I'm multiplying it on the right hand side. I've got 3 over x over 3 over x, it gives us 1. Here we have 4x over 3. We end up with 1 is equals to 4x over 3. Well, now we know. You just look at the coefficient, it's a fraction. You invert it, you just flip it over and multiply by 3 over 4, sorry. You multiply by the inverse of the fraction of this coefficient, you invert it. So you multiply by the inverse. Okay. When you multiply on the right hand side, you must also multiply on the left hand side. We are going to get 4 times 3, 12, and 3 times 4, 12. 12x over 12. 12 divided by 12 is 1. X is free. We have our x alone. And we have 3 over 4 times 1, which is 3 over 4. You see, this method and that method, It's the same thing. There is another method here which looks simpler, faster. When you have your variable as a denominator and there's an equation and there's something else on the other side, maybe for instance here we have a constant and we want to solve for this variable, you just do a cross multiplication. The denominator of the left hand side will multiply the numerator of the right hand side, and the numerator of the left hand side will multiply the denominator of the right hand side. Then we're left with 3 equal to 4x. Then we divide by 4x, both sides. We get the same answer. You see, it's exactly the same thing. What else do you want on linear equations? I think we've exhausted all the options. We have done this example. We've done the tricky ones. These are the tricky ones. Most people make mistakes here, and you're not supposed to make a mistake. We can do the simple one. X equal to 5 is an answer. It's straightforward. Follow the rules. Just follow the rules. Once you follow the rules, that's it. This is all about equations, linear equations. I actually want to do different videos for different equations. Here, we've just done a video for linear equations. The next one will be on quadratic equations, whereby we are completing a square, and that is only applicable for people who are doing grade 11 and grade 12, and those who have interest, okay, they can follow it and learn. But for the guys who are doing grades that are less than grade 11, you don't need to worry with the quadratic equations, how to complete a square. It's something that you're going to do later. We're also going to do exponential equations, which they are applicable, I think, also to grade 9. So from grade 9 up to grade 12, I'm going to show you how to work with exponential equations. Whilst I'm doing that, we are also going to deal with logarithmic equations, logs, because it's the same thing. It's just the same thing. That is what we are going to do, and that will conclude the playlist for equations. Thereafter, we are going to do financial mathematics. I'm also going to separate it. I'll separate the topics in order to accommodate those who are doing grade 8, grade 9, 10, 11 and 12, they'll be joined. So I'm going to do, I think, four videos or 3 videos on financial mathematics. There we're going to cover everything. And some of it, in the beginning, is going to cover work that is done by people who are doing maths lit, mathematical literacy. Okay, we're done. Guys, please like my video, give me thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. The reason for you to subscribe is because you're going to get an update for all the videos of mathematics I'm still going to do. There's a lot of work that we're still going to do. We're still going to do functions. We're still going to do geometry. We're still going to do trigonometry, calculus, statistics, probability. There are many topics that are still coming, and I trust that you will enjoy them. I will try by all various means possible that each and every lecture simplifies all the things that have been troubling you. I'm going to lay them bare so that you follow mathematics properly. But remember my advice. There is nothing you can do with mathematics if you do not follow the rules, if you do not know the laws, the properties. That's how it is. But the nice thing is that once you grasp all those concepts, you have to know them, really. But once you understand all those concepts, you will never ever have a problem with mathematics. Never, believe me. Guys, thank you very much. Share my video to all your contacts. Distribute it to all your friends. I want everybody in the world to understand mathematics. We're now